Doomed. Hey gang, so this is kind of a rush job because I wasn't really planning on making an episode right now, but I was inspired by a other video blog by Phil DeFranco, who does the Phil DeFranco Show. So this is not only a BLAMB Dino jam, but it is also a video response to him. Here it goes. Phil posed the question, what do you think about religion, your thoughts on spirituality, all that stuff. Everything, theology, all that jazz. And this is something that I've thought about making a video blog about for a while, but haven't because I didn't think it would be taken too well from my 7 subscribers. So, for all 7 of you watching this, here's a little bit of what I think about stuff. It's a very consolidated version, so if you actually like to hear what I say, then let me know and I'll post more later. The first thing, am I a religious person? The answer to this would have to be no. I was raised in a Christian/Catholic childhood, however, I was driven away from religion in my later life. This was primarily because of the fact that religion was so forced on me as a child, even though it probably did give me a good structure in the long run. I am, however, very spiritual. I like to have ideas and thoughts rather than beliefs, just because I feel that belief structures are a little bit too constrained for what I like to think. Plus, I can change my ideas whenever I want, and if I was into a particular belief, I would be kind of restricted to just going with the mainstream. Organized religion is kind of the devil. So my main thought about this whole spiritual everything deal is based around something that I call universal consciousness. This is the idea that all of us are connected somehow. We're all part of a mainframe computer. We're all part of this whole construct. Not from like the Matrix or whatever, but we're all somehow connected mentally, physically. We all interact with each other just like atoms interact with each other. I come from all of my angles in a very scientific way for the most part, just because I've been based in the sciences for way too long. So we're bouncing around in this universe just like everything else is, and eventually everything collides, so therefore we all must be connected somehow. This whole idea of this universal consciousness brings up some interesting theories of mine. With this whole theory of everything being connected, things like psychic abilities, ESP, mass hysteria, they all can come into play. Basically going on the whole idea that somehow we're all connected in this network, and therefore psychics could technically be able to read minds, telepathy, semi-there, all that stuff. But also ghosts. Ghosts come from the idea, in my mind, from the fact that, according to physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's just recycled. So everything goes back into the system. Therefore, our soul, our spirit, the energy that gives us this, like me talking to you, has to go somewhere and come from somewhere else. So in my thinking, ghosts are just this energy floating around in a state that's not tangible yet. Kind of makes sense? Does to me sometimes. So that's my basic theory on ghosts, brain stuff. Now on to evolution. I have to completely agree with Phil and say that I think that autism is an evolutionary step in man. I also think that things like the Kentucky blue bloods who have blue-colored blood, sickle cell anemia, and terminal insomnia. These are all things that have evolved in man kind of in a mishmash way in order to push us to the next step. Recent research has actually showed that man is now evolving faster than it has ever before since it's become bipedal. So we're evolving faster than, the chimps and the apes evolved into us, which is kind of interesting since you don't see the changes. These changes are primarily in the DNA structure, and therefore you don't really visibly see them, but they're there, and they're happening on a faster rate. My thought is that this is happening mostly because of the fact that we diverged from each other so long ago, and now we're finally starting to come back together since transportation is so regular. Just a random little tidbit that I wanted to throw in. I think that bacteria and viruses are one of the things that have helped man evolve as fast as he has. I think this because of the fact, well, not only because bacteria were some of the first organisms, and therefore we probably evolved from bacteria somehow, but also because I think that they've physically affected us so much over the history of mankind that it's just completely changed the way that we live as a society. Some people have said that war is the primary ingredient in creating evolution and industrial progress. But I have to say that I think that bacteria is right up there too. Just a couple for instances, since I don't really have that long on these videos. General hygiene. You know, if we didn't have these problems, then we wouldn't have created hygiene. Vaccinations. I mean, vaccinations came from mold and bacteria initially, and therefore they have kind of been based off of the things that we've been trying to fight. They've weaned out the weak, and however cynical this might sound, you know, there have been people in the past who just wouldn't cut it today, you know? They say that we couldn't bring dinosaurs back right now because there's so many diseases around that they wouldn't be able to survive anyway. They would just breathe one gasp of air and boom, be dead. So if our ancient ancestors were still around, they would probably have some of the same problems that dinosaurs would. Finally, one of my favorites, spicy food. If you think about it, the reason that food has become so spicy and flavorful over the time of man is because of the fact that different ingredients were used to kill off different bacteria at any given time, thus making the food safer for the people to eat, while also adding a nice twang to it. So that curry that you really like eating, the main reason that it tastes like curry is because the Indians and other Asians were using these spices to get rid of the things that would hurt them. Bacteria have also caused many cultural changes in man. One, for instance, would be that in Central and South America, as well as in China, the idea that parasites that are inhaled and then coughed up and then swallowed in your phlegm actually are the type that affect your digestive tract. And in fact, this is true. However, not so much in China anymore, but that is still carried on in their culture, and that's why you see a lot of Chinese people spitting. In South America, though, this is still true to this day. So if you go down there and you start coughing and something comes up a little bit, make sure to spit it out. Don't just leave it in there. Don't let the globbies go back into the gullet. Got it? Good.